at the Pellegrini Athletic Complex, the site for this afternoon's Interact Conference game between Springside Chestnut Hill Academy and Malvern Prep. And Mike Mataraki right out of the gate. We got some interesting stuff going on down on the field.
Yeah, a little bit of gamesmanship. The Malvern Prep Friars just completed their senior day festivities, and the team returned to the locker room as a whole and enjoying their last day of the Interact League champions, so to speak. They are taking on the role of a true heavyweight champion, and they're making Springside Chestnut Hill wait for them. Springside Chestnut Hill has been on their sideline for probably about 5 minutes now, awaiting the arrival of the Malvern Prep Friars, and the Friars are just now approaching the end zone to our right side, and they are going to sort of milk this last home game, or this last game of this season for all it's worth, Chris.
26 seniors on the roster for the Friars, making their final appearance in the Malvern navy blue and white. As here they come out of the tunnel onto the football field for one final time. A long ceremony before this game here today. Took about a half hour, just so many names to honor here at Pellegrini Athletic Complex.
Yeah, with all of the senior cheerleaders and then all of the senior football players, as you mentioned, 26 of them in total. And it did take quite a while to recognize and honor all of them. It was a very nice ceremony, though, for sure.
Friars will be playing host to Springside Chestnut Hill Academy today, who comes into the game with a 6-3 record, but is riding a 3-game losing streak. And it's just about time for the national anthem, so we will take a quick audio break. But when we come back, kickoff between the Blue Devils and the Friars. Today's game is brought to you in part by Eric McGee. Thinking of buying or selling a home? Call your favorite realtor and Malvern Prep Dad, Eric McGee, at 610-310-6022. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki here for the Sports Fanbase Network. Springside Chestnut Hill Academy won the toss but deferred, so the Friars will be receiving the opening kickoff to get things started here at Quigley Field on Senior Day. And Mike, one final chance this year to see the explosive Friars offense led by their junior quarterback, Lonnie Wright Jr.
And certainly couldn't ask for a better afternoon for football here in Malvern. It is nearly crystal clear, sunny, 39 degrees, a very light breeze blowing from our right to our left, so we'll see if that plays a factor in the kicking game at any point today, but seniors certainly couldn't have asked for a better afternoon for their final game here at Quigley Field.
Blue Devils will be sending it away right to left on your screen.
Isaiah Wright, number 17, Yadir Nash.
Yadir Nash back deep to return the kick. Hennessy sends it away. It's a short one. Fielded by Isaiah Wright. Had a hole for a moment, but is tripped up near his own 25.
And it looked like Brian Hennessy, the kickoff specialist for SCH Academy, trying to do a little bit of a directional kickoff and pin Malvern deep in their own territory. Isaiah Wright able to bring that out to what looks like about the 27, call it the 28 to start.
Malvern will start with possession of the football ball on their own 28-yard line. They come out with Lonnie Wright Jr. at the quarterback position, which is good to see because he was banged up last week in the fourth quarter against the Haverford School and had to sit.
And sat out a lot of practice this week, really didn't go full bore until Friday.
Stephen Rose Jr. with a solid carry to get things started for the Friars. 12 yards on the ground, and he picks up a first down.
And I feel like, Chris, we're going to see a lot of Stephen Rose Jr. and Isaiah Wright today.
Rose Jr., the man in the backfield on 1st and 10. Gets another handoff left. Short carry out across the sideline.
And I think you have to give it to him until they stop him, especially with your quarterback, who certainly we know Lonnie to be a dual threat quarterback, but if he is banged up and did not practice in full until yesterday, why run the risk of having him carry the ball and take that punishment if they're not stopping your running backs early on here?
2nd and 7 now for the Friars. It's a handoff. Tinson on the sweep, thrown backwards at the line of scrimmage. Tackle made by Aaron Rasco.
Yeah, and it looked like Tinson had a little bit of a hole there for a second, and then Rasco came up and kind of laid the smack down for a second.
To the point you were making, though, Mike, that's the play we're used to seeing Lonnie White tuck the football and run with it himself, but as you're saying, maybe they're trying to keep his carries limited here today off the injury. On 3rd and 7, White does keep it, goes up the middle, and is hit hard a yard shy of the line to gain. Keyshawn Williams with the hit.
Yeah, and Lonnie got upended there. It looked like he was going to make one final lunge for the first down. Keyshawn Williams upends him, and they are about a half a yard short.
Lonnie White on 4th and 1. QB sneak, pushed backwards, still fighting. No signal yet, but it looks like the Friars got short of the first down marker.
Yeah, and from our vantage point, we're looking right down the line to gain. And with where the ball is spotted right now, he got the first down by literally the nose of a football.
An advantageous spot.
Oh, very much so.
The second effort by White, what allowed him to pick up the first down. Friars not complaining about the spot. 1st and 10 from midfield. Handoff. Jones up the middle. Excuse me, that was Rose Jr. He fumbles. Ball loose.
Looked like Brendan Flynn for the Friars fell on it.
So Malvern recovers the fumble. It's a 6-yard gain on the carry. 2nd and 4.
Friars going with a little bit of no huddle here.
Empty backfield for Lonnie White Jr. Rose Jr. Fake handoff. White up the middle, another first down, but again being thrown into the air. Some low hits on Lonnie White Jr. to start this game.
Keyshawn Williams again, and these are just good, solid, fundamental tackles. Keyshawn Williams is trying to attack the lower body and wrap. Lonnie's trying to go over the top of him, and every time he tries to go over the top of him, he's getting upended.
Friars come out with 2 men in the backfield alongside Lonnie White. Isaiah Wright and Stephen Rose Jr., the backs for the play. 9:07 remaining into the first quarter. Pass to the far sideline, incomplete, intended for Tyler Tinson.
And Lonnie had a little too much steam on that one. Or as they like to say on Major League, just a bit outside.
Well, speaking of Major League, that might be the direction Lonnie White Jr. is heading. Obviously a talented football player, but committed to play baseball at Clemson. 2nd and 10 now for the Friars. Fake handoff. White on the keeper. Makes a move. Up the sideline. There he goes. Pushed out of bounds. A touchdown saving hit by Keyshawn Williams, who does it all on both ends of the floor for the Dukes.
And let's give a little shout out to number 3, Ryan Mcguire, the senior wide receiver, with a key block to get Lonnie White Jr. around the corner and down that right sideline. Let's see if Coach Guerrero doesn't come back and maybe reward Ryan Mcguire for that effort with a little pass action to the end zone.
Ball on the Blue Devils' 8-yard line. And now a timeout taken by the Friars with 8:54 remaining in the first quarter, still scoreless. The opening drive of this football game. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki. And Mike, one of the concerns for Malvern coming into this game was the health of their quarterback, Lonnie White Jr. But so far, so good, as he's run the ball for a couple big carries to start this game.
Yeah, certainly he's taken a couple of big hits on those carries, but as of this point, no ill effects. We did see a ball on the ground at one point, but no harm, no foul, as that fumble was recovered by Brendan Flynn. And, you know, when that fumble hit the ground, Lonnie was diving in there with the rest of the crew to try to recover that. So at this point, Lonnie White Jr., the junior standout quarterback, dual threat, triple threat if you count his receiving skills, is healthy and in the ballgame.
At one point this year, Lonnie White Jr. was leading the Friars in passing yards, rushing yards, and receiving yards. Handoff on 1st and goal. Rose Jr. has the angle, and he is in.
And he followed Brendan Flynn right around that corner. This could be the Brendan Flynn drive. He recovers the fumble around the 40-yard line to keep the drive alive, and then they call the number of Stephen Rose Jr., and he follows Brendan Flynn right around that right end into the end zone in 6 points for the Friars.
Extra point attempt now for Malvern.
To attempt the extra point.
And flags fly. Looked like the timing was off on the kick, so this play is blown dead. False start against the Friars. This will move them back 5 yards on the attempt. It's Henry Connors with the extra point try.
And it looked like the punter, Ronan Swope, had called for the snap, and the snap kind of just didn't work the way they wanted to. And now it looks like they're bringing in Andrew Monteith, the sophomore, to attempt the point after.
So Monteith instead of Connors now. Kick is up, straight through. A 7-0 lead for Malvern with 8:48 remaining in the quarter. Penalty flag down on the field.
And it's a personal foul, roughing the kicker on Springside Chestnut Hill, and be interesting to see, do the Friars take a half the distance penalty and try it again and go for 2, or do they just take the 15 yards on the kickoff and really kind of boot one out of the end zone here? And it looks like that's what they're going to do, is they're going to take the 15 on the kickoff from midfield, and And maybe they don't boot one out of the end zone. Maybe they just try to drop one around the 5 to 10 yard line here. But real quick, going back to that original point after, number 9, Henry Connors, the senior, was allowed to come on senior day, get that first shot at the point after. Unfortunately, the false start penalty, they wound up moving the ball back, and then the regular kicker, the sophomore Andrew Monteith, came in. So something to keep an eye on, opportunities for the seniors over the course of the afternoon.
Well, Connors back out onto the field now for this short kickoff from the Springside Chestnut Hill Academy 45. It's a squib kick. They went for the onsides, but recovered by the Blue Devils. Tommy Shalinski dives to recover that kick.
And hey, not a bad idea when you're kicking off from midfield. Why not go for the onside kick? And I mean, worst case scenario, you're allowing the other team to start from their own 40. We've seen routine kickoff returns get returned further than the 40. So certainly not a bad idea by the Malvern Prep coaching staff. And number 9, Henry Connors, almost had a shot at his own onside kick there.
The Blue Devils will start their first drive of the afternoon from their own 34. Pass on first down, incomplete. It was a lateral pass, so a fumble, but Williams able to fall back on it.
For number 13,
Keyshawn Williams, you heard his name a couple times on defense, but he is the premier receiver in the Interac. Has the record for most receiving yards in a season in the conference, but he can also line up at running back, return kicks, and play anywhere on defense.
And not only does he have the record for most receiving yards in a season, he also has the record for most receptions and yards for a career. He is, as you said, the preeminent receiver in Interac League history.
Graham on second down. Fires. Sideline. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of Bobby Markey. Good coverage on the play by the Friars secondary.
And you know who? Cayman Hayes. We talk about him almost on a weekly basis, Chris, that if you're going to throw on the Friars, number 31 is not the man you want to throw at. And at that point there, it looked like Bobby Markey had decent position coming back to the ball. Cayman Hayes got in at the last minute, knocked it away.
3rd and 11. Hayes lined up against Williams at the line of scrimmage. Going to be a fun battle to watch this afternoon. Graham with an empty backfield. He has time. Steps up. Close sideline. There's that man, number 13. Williams down the sideline with a tough catch against Hayes.
And that's absolutely unbelievable. Cayman Hayes had position. There was a little bit of hand fighting going on. May have been able to whistle Keyshawn Williams for a little bit of a push-off. Officials kept the laundry in their pockets, and A.J. Graham just trusted his receiver. He threw the ball up there knowing that it was either going to be his receiver or incomplete. Keyshawn Williams comes down with the ball.
29 yards through the air. Now Williams in the backfield. Catches the swing pass. Has room to run. Solid pickup on first down. Got about 6 yards.
Yeah, and these type of plays where the initial feed, if you will, from A.J. Graham goes backwards, those actually count as rushing yards for Keyshawn Williams. So the rushing yards start to pile up on plays like that, and then the receiving yards downfield.
Williams on the sideline to take a breather for this play. It's a handoff. Short carry going nowhere. Aaron Rasco met at the line of scrimmage by a sea of navy blue jerseys.
And Aaron Rasco is like a truck going through there at 6'2", 205. Nice job by the Malvern Prep defense shutting that carry down.
Williams back on the field for this 3rd and 5. The Blue Devils go with an empty backfield, 5 receivers.
And it looks like Cayman Hayes is going to shadow Keyshawn Williams pretty much wherever he goes.
That matchup at the top of your screen.
That's at least 25.
Graham going that direction, completes it near the yard to gain. And it looks like they will move the chains. Williams, another first down pickup.
Number 8, Nathan.
Yeah, and nice job in coverage there by Malvern Prep. Look, they gave a man look and then fell into his zone, and Cayman Hayes sort of passed Keyshawn Williams off to the outside linebacker, Nate Dollar, and Dollar was real close to either intercepting that or breaking it up. Williams with a great catch.
Pitch left. Rasco with a big hole, still going. Taken down after a solid carry, 10 yards, and another first down for the Blue Devils.
And Rasco with a great spin move to get around Stephen Rose Jr., and if not for Jack Carpenter wrapping him up and bringing him down, he may have walked into the end zone.
5:44 remaining in a fast-moving opening quarter of play. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki here for the Sports Fanbase Network. Pitch on first down. Rasco nowhere to run. Met by a sea of navy blue. Christian Bockrath in on that play.
Yeah, Bockrath, Deary, Tyler Frank swarmed to the ball that time.
Second and 10 for the Blue Devils. Rasco in the backfield. Williams lined up across from Hayes at the bottom of your screen.
Watch the fade here.
It is the fade, but instead over the middle, pass intercepted. Bockrath going up the far sideline and out of bounds. A big interception on the goal line for Christian Bockrath.
So A.J. Graham took the snap, looked out to his far left to Keyshawn Williams, was looking for the fade. Cayman Hayes had him absolutely blanketed. He came back to his secondary receiver, Jack Gentili, who was running a post over the middle. Christian Bockrath steps in front of the pass, picks it off, takes it all the way back to the 19-yard line, and Malvern Prep dodges a bullet.
They do dodge a bullet. The Blue Devils look solid on that offensive drive, but the coverage by Hayes forced Graham to throw it over the middle. And the Friars start this drive on their own 18-yard line. White with a fake handoff. There he goes. Far sideline. Lonnie White, one man to beat. Lonnie White Jr., 82 yards.
That's what you get when the speedster is in the game. Broke a couple of tackles, got that left sideline, and as you said, one man to beat. He blew by Chris Lockery, and he was gone. 82 yards to the house.
A 2-touchdown lead for the Friars with 4:34 remaining in the opening quarter of play. Extra point ensuing. But, Mike, we talked about it before we went on air. Lonnie White Jr. was 115 yards shy of the 1,000-yard mark on the ground, and unofficially he's close to that as the extra point is up and good. He had around 25 yards on the ground on that opening drive on a couple carries, 82 on that touchdown run. So I think it's safe to assume Lonnie White Jr. will be eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark at some point today.
Yeah, I would guess on his next carry of 5 yards or more, we could put Lonnie White Jr. in the 1,000-yard club. But Chris, just thinking big picture, do you think the Friars are more than a little miffed that they're not in that Interact Championship game today?
Well, I'll tell you what, you have to be taking it personally if you're Malvern. I know that this year has been a rebuilding year, but the road loss to Episcopal Academy really came down to one key mistake on a missed extra point that cost them. They lost by 2 on the road. Then last week against Haverford School, got off to a sloppy start. Haverford was up 20-0, and when the Friars started marching back into that one, Lonnie White Jr. was injured. So this is a season where the Friars are going to look back on it, Mike, and they had every reason to be in contention for that championship, but a couple key mistakes in key games is what cost them. Now a short kickoff takes a hop shy of the 30, and it looks like a Friar may have fallen on it. Friars signaling they have possession of the football, and they do!
And Henry Connors with that directional kickoff once again was recovered by number 6, Ethan Hennessy, the senior defensive back, getting some time on the kick coverage team. And again, Malvern keeping the foot on the gas here in the first quarter.
So Malvern will get the football back just moments after Lonnie White Jr. took one 82 yards to the house. The Friars already up 14-0 with 4:34 to go in the first quarter. And Malvern playing angry here at home on Senior Day. Out of contention for the Interact title, with the Friars leaving it all on the line here in quarter number 1. Lonnie White in shotgun. Flips it forward to avoid a sack. Nobody home in the area. A penalty flag flies as the ball failed to reach the line of scrimmage. So this is going to be in the area for intentional grounding.
Did it fail to reach the line of scrimmage? I think the referee was trailing the play. And the referee, he acknowledged that Lonnie was outside of the tackle box. And it was an interesting play call, first of all. It looked like Lonnie was running the quarterback sweep. And the whole design, I think, the whole play was designed as a fake because he was looking downfield the whole time. He wanted to throw that ball. As you said, they're saying that the ball did not reach the line of scrimmage on the flip. I disagree. I mean, the angle that you and I have on this is basically perfect.
Right. And I was a little surprised by it, too. I thought the ball definitely hit at least the line marker, but...
And it's a smart play by Lonnie. You know that you're going to get tackled for a loss. You flip it forward out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass, and you fight on. The official here is going to call the intentional grounding, and the only explanation can be that the ball didn't reach the line of scrimmage.
And then it looks like, so they'll mark it off. It'll be a 10-yard loss for the intentional grounding, but it looks like there's another penalty being added on. So was there an unsportsmanlike call that we missed there? Because the Friars being marked way back to their own 39-yard line.
The intentional grounding should be 10 yards from where Lonnie released the ball with the loss of down. So that should have put them somewhere around midfield. Not sure why they're being sent all the way back there.
First down from Malvern's 39 after 2 penalties. That incomplete, intended for Tinson on a screen pass. And it was a loss of down, so that was second down. Now 3rd and 36 after a combo of pass interference and unsportsmanlike penalties set the Friars way back into their own territory.
Interesting to see if Malvern takes the safe way here and just kind of runs the ball to try to get up as close as they can to midfield and then punts, or if they're going to let Lonnie White Jr. put the ball in the air.
Friars with a 14-0 lead facing 3rd and 36. They run it. Isaiah Wright makes a couple moves and is shoved out of bounds by Williams towards the tail end of the play. Wright gets it to midfield and gives Swope a lot of room to make this punt.
Yeah, and you find yourself in a 3rd and 36. At that point, you just want to play the field position battle.
Especially holding on to a 2-touchdown lead. Swope will send it away. Williams, the man deep to return, and he is a threat. He's taken 2 kick returns to the house this season. Got to be careful here. It's almost like seeing Deshaun Jackson back to return a punt back when he was with the Eagles early on in his career. High kick. Williams gonna return it. Makes a move. Turn it on the Jets. Hit hard at his own 30 and brought to the ground. Got about 15 yards on the return, but good coverage by the Friars.
A nice job there by Ryan McFillin. Jasir Cook. That second line of defense on punt coverage, a real nice job, as you said. And first off, great kick by Ronan Swope. Very surprised that Williams didn't call for a fair catch. He decided to return it, and he hit that second gear, and as you said, look out, because had he slipped that tackle there, he was gone.
Empty backfield for Graham. Now he sends a man in motion. It's a handoff. On the carry is Thorpe, and he is taken down for a short gain. Looked initially like he had a hole, but didn't burst through it.
Cameron Hayes on the tackle.
And something to keep an eye on there, A.J. Graham, after he handed that ball off, kind of snuck around the left end, and none of the Malvern defenders followed him at all. And I think he kind of looked over to the sideline and nodded as if to give the coaching staff for SCH Academy sort of the Iggy that a play might be there for him.
2nd and 8 for the Blue Devils. 3:20 remaining. A bad snap. Graham couldn't handle it, and now he's taken down for a big loss in the backfield. Snap was high, and Graham let it go through the hands. Taken down for a loss.
Eric Villano, the senior, got in there and made sure that once Graham picked it up, there was nowhere to run.
It's an 8-yard loss, brings up 3rd and 16.
What happened to our very fast-moving first quarter?
It slowed down a little bit due to some penalties and sloppy play the last couple of times out for both these teams. Graham on 3rd and 16 sets up the screen pass for Williams, who's taken down about a yard in front of the original line of scrimmage. Blue Devils will have to punt.
Nice job by Jack Carpenter making a very sound tackle on Keyshawn Williams.
Malvern has done a solid job of containing the dangerous Keyshawn Williams. Early on in this game, he's had 2 big catches for first downs, but they've kept him out of the end zone, which is relatively hard to do. High punt, right back to receive it. He calls fair catch, and the ball will be down at the Malvern 25 with 1:55 remaining in the first quarter. A 14-0 lead for the Friars. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki. And Mike, the Friars offense has looked explosive early on in this game. Their last drive was stalled due to penalties, but when they've had clean football operating for them, Lonnie White Jr. has been able to find holes and have some big runs, and Stephen Rose Jr. as well has a touchdown run here today, but it has had a lot of effective carries early on in this game.
Yeah, and frankly, I think the penalties on that last drive that slowed Malvern down were both very questionable calls. Malvern right now has been virtually unstoppable on the ground, and if I'm Coach Dave Guerrera, I'm going right back to that ground attack.
Gordon in motion. 1st and 10. Lonnie White. Short gain.
Off left tackle.
Solid coverage by the linebacking crew of the Blue Devils.
Tackle made by number 58, Tristan Holmbeck.
Tristan Holmbeck given credit for the tackle.
2 seconds and 8.
2nd and 8 now for Malvern with 1:30 remaining in the quarter. Rose Jr. hits the hole with power. Flag flies as Rose Jr. picked up the first down, but this one looks like it's coming back.
And some very patient running by Rose, and the penalty, unfortunately, very obvious to me. The holding call, I saw it as soon as the referee threw the flag. I knew what he was calling, and unfortunately, I don't think it was necessary for Rose to pick up those yardage. I think the Friars kind of shooting themselves in the foot here, taking away a very nice run and pushing themselves back to what looks to be about a 2nd and 20.
19 after the flag.
Lonnie White Jr. calling out signals. Now he looks to the sideline, changing the play at the line of scrimmage, calling an audible. Under a minute remaining in the opening quarter. On 2nd down, White fires, complete to Matthias, short gain.
Complete to number 1, Matthias.
Nazir Jackson took him down.
Tackle made by number 1, Nasir Jackson.
Clock moving, just over 30 seconds to go in the quarter. Friars faced with a 3rd and 13.
And the Friars do have to snap the ball here, so interesting to see what the play call is here.
Wright fires incomplete, nearly intercepted by Jackson on the back end.
Was looking for Kellen Mathias again. Mathias, even if he makes that catch, I don't think he gets the first down. Had he looked back to the right, he had tight end John Gordon running up the seam basically by himself. I think if he would have given himself an extra second, he hits Gordon in stride. Gordon may still be running.
Williams back deep to return the punt for the Blue Devils, standing at his own 40. Swope will send it away. 14 ticks of the clock remaining in the first quarter. High, short punt. Williams calls for a fair catch, and the ball is down at the 44. Great coverage by Liam Sullivan running down the field to force Williams to call for the fair catch.
And a great job by Ronan Swope to make sure that that punt was extremely high, giving the coverage team an opportunity to get down there. More importantly, not allowing Keyshawn Williams the opportunity to return that punt.
Springside Chestnut Hill Academy will begin this drive with the ball on their own 44-yard line. 7 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Blue Devils trailing 14-0. Graham fires, complete. Rasco makes a move, headed towards the sideline, and forced out of bounds short of the yard to gain by Kellen Mathias. And that will take us to the end of the first quarter. We'll take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Second quarter action coming up here on the Sports Fanbase Network. Second quarter action here at Quigley Field. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki for the Sports Fanbase Network. Senior day for the Malvern Prep Friars, playing host to Springside Chestnut Hill Academy, who has possession of the football. 2nd down and 2 from the Malvern 48. Fake handoff. Graham up the middle. Taken down near the yard to gain. Going to depend on the spot.
And he took a shot there from Jack Carpenter. Looks like he got the first down, but a bone-jarring tackle by Carpenter there.
From the 46-yard line.
1st and 10 now from the Malvern 46. Graham with Williams in motion. Hands it off. Williams stretches it out. Far sideline, picks up the first down.
Keyshawn Williams.
He's just so dangerous. Any way that they can get the ball into his hands. And it's interesting. The Blue Devils use him, deploy him in a variety of different ways, very similar to the way that Penn State uses KJ Hamler. Traditional wide receiver, out of the backfield on kickoff returns and punt returns. The Kent State commit, an explosive Division I level football player.
1st and 10. Graham with time. Far sideline complete. And out of bounds is Aaron Orasco with another first down for the Blue Devils.
And a very well-designed play there. A lot of misdirection in the backfield. Graham looked deep right. That was covered, came back to the left side, and Aaron Rasco, wide open, picks up the first down.
A 21-yard completion from Graham to Rasco. Passing attack has been solid for the Blue Devils here today. Their first drive, they got it all the way to the goal line, but that drive ended in an interception. 1st and 10 now from the Malvern 15. Screen pass, and Williams blown up on the play, led perfectly by Christian Bockrath.
Oh, hello, Mr. Bockrath.
Number 37.
Excellent play there by the Malvern Prep defense. They read that the entire way. The receiver coming back to the quarterback for the reception basically came right back into a huge hit from the linebacker, Christian Bockrath.
Bockrath has been active here today. Had the interception on Graham's pass over the middle intended for the end zone back in the beginning of the first quarter. 2nd and 9 now for the Blue Devils. Graham pitches it. Rasco hit hard, taken down on a short carry by Stephen Rose Jr.
And a nice job by Rose to kind of shoot the gap there between the Springside Chestnut Hill offensive linemen and make a shoestring tackle before Rasco could get around the corner.
3rd down and 5 now for Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. Williams in single coverage against Hayes at the bottom of your screen. Try a screen pass, it's broken up. Graham fighting in the backfield. He's going to run. Close to the 1st down marker. And he did indeed pick up the 1st down on a broken play.
On the tackle.
Then Cayman Hayes,
And goal.
Christian Bockrath did everything they could to keep him from getting the 1st down. Excellent second effort by Graham just to make sure that the drive stayed alive.
1st and goal now for the Blue Devils on the Malvern 4. 9:32 remaining in the second quarter. Rasco in the backfield. Penalty flag flies. False start against Springside Chestnut Hill Academy.
So we have one official saying that it's a false start but pointing to Malvern, and the referee saying it's offside but pointing to Springside Chestnut Hill. He had to take a second and kind of regroup and go through that whole series of signs again.
None of us are perfect in this life, unfortunately.
No, for sure. Just had to laugh because he shook his head for a second and was like, what am I doing here?
I'd love to hear what Jack Kapp has to say about that as Williams on his stretch to the left. Has the angle, walks in. Keyshawn Williams with the first score for the Blue Devils.
And just a jet sweep from right to left, going from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. Took the handoff, found a hole between the tight end and the left tackle, and as you said, basically walked into the end zone.
Hennessy on to attempt the extra point for Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. And it is good. It's a 14-7 lead for the Friars with 9:02 remaining in the half. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki here for the Sports Fan Base Network. And Mike, despite the turnover on the goal line back in the first quarter, the air attack for the Blue Devils has been relatively unstoppable here today against Malvern.
No question about it. And when you have a tandem like A.J. Graham, the junior quarterback, and Keyshawn Williams, the senior wide receiver, I mean, A.J. Graham, even without Keyshawn Williams, is probably one of the best quarterbacks in the area. If not, top 5 in the area. And that's Interac, Public, Suburban, you name it. A.J. Graham is at the top of the list of quarterbacks in the area. Then you give him a Division I level wide receiver like Keyshawn Williams, that's just going to make him that much better, and they're on display today.
Graham, the junior gunslinger for the Blue Devils, as this is a line drive kick and a decent return on the play by Kyle Traynor. Traynor, the sophomore defensive back on the return team.
On the return,
Gets the ball up to the Malvern 39. Friars will start this drive with solid field position.
Friars take over 1st and 10.
Malvern coming off back-to-back 3-and-outs that have been marred by penalties. Stephen Rose Jr. in the backfield alongside Lonnie White. Handoff. Rose Jr. pushed out of bounds. Got about 7 on the carry before being bumped outside the line.
Yeah, and he took a shot there from Aaron Rasko. We've seen Rasko on the offensive side of the ball delivering some shots, and that time Stephen Rose Jr. got around the corner, and it looked like he was going to try to take the ball up the near sideline, and he was met by the wall that is Aaron Rasko.
And they mark Rose Jr. actually out of bounds 2 yards back from where he landed. Fake handoff. Lonnie White Jr. keeps it. Still on his feet after a hurdle and taken down about 2 yards shy of the yard the game, but an impressive 3-yard carry nonetheless.
Now, Keyshawn Williams went for the hat trick in terms of upending Lonnie White Jr., and I think Lonnie was ready for it that time. He made sure that when Keyshawn Williams went for the lower legs, he just sort of sidestepped it, spun, landed on his feet, kept driving forward for an extra 1.5 yards.
3rd and 1 for the Friars, just shy of midfield. 8:11 remaining in the second quarter of action. Stephen Rose Jr. picks up the first down and more, taken down at the Blue Devils' 45.
Yeah, nice patient run by Stephen Rose, just allowing the offensive line to open a hole, picking the hole, and then shooting through it, as you said, first down and then some.
7-yard carry for Stephen Rose Jr., the transfer from Exeter. He's been a key contributor to both sides of the ball for the Friars. Lonnie White keeps it, breaks a tackle, picks up the first down. White Jr. shaken up on the play.
Gain of 12 for another Friar first down.
And he goes to the sideline to talk things over with the coaching staff, and he might be coming out for a play.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if his head bounced off the turf or if he got something in his eye, but he was pointing to his face, and that will bring on our first appearance of the day of Bryce Pippin.
Pippin, the freshman quarterback for the Friars, their second-string QB, who's played well in spurts this season when called upon. Fires to Tinson, pass incomplete, and it was actually nearly intercepted by Carnell Kemp. Went right through his hands at the line of scrimmage.
Wow, and it's actually not a bad throw by Bryce Pippin. He's able to get it through the arms of the defender into the hands of Tyler Tinson, and I think Tinson was distracted by the defender, unable to pull it in.
2nd and 10. Pippin with 2 backs. Rose Jr. up the middle. Short carry.
The ball carrier.
Taken down on the play by Will Neborowski.
Gain of 3. 3rd and 7.
3rd and 7 now for the Friars. Bryce Pippin, the backup QB, on the field for the 2nd straight week. Pippin with time. He's going to run. Bryce Pippin showing off the legs. Up the sideline, forced out of bounds by Williams, but Bryce Pippin showing how well he can move.
And definitely not a designed run. Bryce Pippin dropped back, looked to throw the ball, had all the time in the world, and then looked down and realized that the defense had parted like the Red Sea in front of him, and he took the ball all the way up to, appears to be about the 9-yard line.
21-yard run on 3rd and 7 for the freshman quarterback. Stephen Rose Jr. Patient run, taken down for a short gain by Rasco.
On the carry, tackle made by number 4, Roscoe.
And some extracurriculars in the end zone. Looked like Colt Deary for the Friars, and I believe number 70, Luke Percy for the Blue Devils. Little wrestling match in the end zone at the end of that play.
Lonnie White Jr. returning to the field for the Friars on 2nd and goal from the 7. Tinson in motion. Fake handoff. White up the middle, got 2 yards, taken down for a short gain. Tackle made by Luke Percy.
Third and goal from the 4-yard line.
So certainly Lonnie White Jr. has to be up over that 1,000-yard mark now, but I think the more important thing is let's get into the end zone here.
3rd and goal, 4 yards to go for the Friars. White up the middle, breaks a tackle, walks in. You can't stop him. Lonnie White Jr. with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day.
Crazy. It looked like they ran a little bit of an option look there. He had the pitch to Isaiah Wright if he wanted it, elected not to pitch it, was then stood up, and at that point, like you said, Chris, broke a tackle, worked his way from the right side all the way back to the left, and then goes into the end zone virtually untouched.
Lonnie White Jr. on the ground yet again, extra point up and good. It's a 2-score lead for the 2nd time this afternoon for Malvern. 5:01 remaining in the 2nd quarter. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki here for the Sports Fan Base Network. And Mike, Lonnie White Jr. was banged up on that drive, went to the sideline for a couple plays, but comes in and picks up right where he left off with a 4-yard touchdown scamper.
Yeah, and to me that would tell me that if he was in fact injured, it was not at all serious. I still think it looked like he had something in his eye when he came up off of the turf. Either way, the star quarterback back in the game and back in the end zone.
Friars will send it away right to left on your screen. And what was interesting about that drive is White Jr. went to the sideline, Pippen went in, and while we see Pippen as the prototypical pocket passer, on 3rd and 7, he showed the wheels. He went for a 21-yard carry on the ground to pick up a big first down to keep that drive moving.
Yeah, and we had a chance to talk to a couple of the Malvern assistant coaches before the game, and one of the things they told us is that if Bryce does have to play, he's a very gutsy quarterback. He will stand in the pocket until the very last minute before releasing the ball, and he's not afraid to run. He will get physical.
High kick by Jake Reed, fielded by Rasco. Short return on the play. Couple shoves at the end of that one as well from both teams.
Number 27.
Getting a little chippy out on Quigley Field here today.
Aaron Rasco.
And it looked like that was Owen McHugh who took the kickoff for the Friars. So Coach Guerrero doing a really good job of getting just about all of his players into the game today, with this being the last home game and last game of the season.
4:55 remaining in the 2nd quarter of action. A 21-7 lead for the Friars. Springside Chestnut Hill with possession of the football, and a wildcat play here. Nice catch.
Number 37.
Bachrath with the tackle. A 7-yard gain on first down for the Blue Devils. Graham lined up at the receiver position, so a wildcat keeper here for Williams, who goes forward for the first down. Keyshawn Williams lining up under center on back-to-back plays.
Number 13, Keyshawn Williams. With the
Interesting look there, and something that SCH Academy hasn't shown a whole lot of this season. So
Christian Blackrock with that tackle.
putting the entire skill set of Keyshawn Williams on display here in the second quarter.
1st and 10 for the Blue Devils on their own 48. Graham rolling out. Slings it. Intercepted. Cayman Hayes. They test him, and he comes away with the pick.
And I feel like Cayman Hayes baited him into that one because Hayes had Keyshawn Williams covered like a blanket, but he watched Graham roll in that direction. He gave a little bit of ground, waited for Graham to release the ball, and when Graham released the ball, he pounced. Interception, Cayman Hayes.
Second interception of the afternoon thrown by the junior quarterback, A.J. Graham. This one intended for Williams, but Cayman Hayes gets the best of the matchup on that play. Sets the Friars up with possession of the football on their own 47. Isaiah Wright. Short carry, got 3 yards.
Isaiah Wright on the carry.
So far, Chris, on senior day, it's been the seniors, Christian Backrath and Cayman Hayes, forcing the turnovers and allowing the Friars to build a 14-point lead in 3:20 away from halftime. They're going to try to extend that lead to a 3-score deficit before the half.
2nd and 7. High snap. White up the middle. Taking down a shoestring tackle made by Nazir Jackson. And that's key because if that tackle isn't made, there was nothing but green turf in front of Alani White Jr.
And it's become very apparent that the Springside Chestnut Hill coaching staff has basically told their players, you have to tackle Lonnie White Jr. around the knees or the ankles, because if you try to go high, he's going to break tackles and he's going to beat you.
3rd and 2. Wright powers forward. 1st down. Moore hit hard at the 35. Picks up the 1st down, and the man who brought him down, Aaron Rasco, a little shaken up on the play.
Yeah, I think the hard hit was between Aaron Rasco and Ivan Thorpe, both defenders. We saw some really shifty running there by Isaiah Wright, and there was a hard hit there, but I don't think he took the brunt of that.
1st and 10 for the Friars. Ball on the Blue Devils 34. White slings it to the sideline. Incomplete, intended for Tinson. 2 minutes remaining in the half. Friars looking to add on to a 21-7 lead. Malvern's offense has been impressive here this afternoon, and the defense has forced 2 turnovers, both on interceptions thrown by the junior quarterback, A.J. Graham. Tinson in motion. Wright up the middle.
Isaiah Wright.
Short gain.
Tackle made by number 23, Chris Lowry.
Chris Lowry with the tackle.
44.
Makes it 3rd and 7 with a minute 44 remaining in the half. Lonnie White Jr. coming to the sideline, and we have...
3rd and 7.
It looked for a second like there was a timeout, but the clock's still running, so Lonnie White just trying to get verbal confirmation of what play the coaching staff wants him to run here. Empty backfield for the Friars. Wright comes in motion. Lonnie White fires, complete. Ryan Mcguire with the 1st down.
It's caught by number 3, Ryan.
Clock will stop while they move the chains, and Malvern hustling to the ball.
Friars.
Not willing to use one of those timeouts just yet. They have 2 remaining.
Another empty backfield for Lonnie White Jr. 1st and 10 from the 18. White to Mcguire. Dropped it. They ran the same play, but Mcguire couldn't hang on past a little bit behind him.
Yeah, but I think if you ask Ryan Mcguire, that's a ball that he's got to haul in, and I think Ryan Mcguire was seeing pay dirt, maybe took his eye off of that ball at the last second looking for the goal line.
Clock stopped with 46 and a half seconds remaining in the second quarter. 2nd and 10. Fake handoff. Lonnie White looking for a block. Breaks the tackle. There he goes. Touchdown number 3. The Lonnie White Jr. show continues.
I just got done talking about it, partner. If you try to tackle him high, he's going to break the tackles and he's going to beat you. And on that play, we saw not 1, not 2, but 3 broken tackles by Lonnie White Jr. Not one of the defenders attempted to wrap him around the knees or the ankles. Everything was from the waist up, and he just shakes it off, gets to the near sideline, and goes right into the end zone.
Monteith on to attempt the extra point. His kick up and good. A 28-7 lead for the Friars with 38 ticks of the clock remaining in the second quarter. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki here for the Sports Fan Base Network. And Mike, after back-to-back tough Interact losses, the Friars out of contention for the title for the first time in 4 years. They're taking all their frustration out on the Blue Devils here this afternoon.
They certainly are, and you know, this is one of the games on the Interact schedule that is considered a rivalry game. It is the proximity of Malvern Prep to Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. It's an Interact League rivalry. It's a cross-town rivalry, if you will. You know, the schools aren't more than about a 20 to 25 minute drive apart, and I think the combination of the rivalry game and, as you said, Malvern's frustration with not being in the championship picture this year, absolutely, they are making the Blue Devils feel every moment of this first half.
Jake Reed to send it away for the Friars now with 38 seconds remaining in the half. High kick fielded by Williams. Williams breaks the tackle. There he goes down the sideline. So dangerous in the open field and thrown to the ground. Taken down by Mike Burrell on the far sideline. Big return on the play. Williams got it into Malvern territory and sets up the Blue Devils with a chance to get some points towards the tail end of the half.
Number 33, Mike Burley on the tackle.
So Burley brought Williams down to the ground on the far sideline, and they're actually going to call a penalty for a late hit, saying he brought Williams down out of bounds.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question about that. Burley wrapped him up and dragged him across the boundary, and then once he was across the boundary, he finished the tackle pretty aggressively, and officials are going to call that one every time.
So the original spot is the 38. That's where Williams was tackled. But the ball will be marched up 15 yards after the penalty. Springside Chestnut Hill Academy will start this drive on the Malvern 25.
Now, Chris, here's the rub here is that SCH Academy won the toss and deferred to the second half, so they are going to have the ball. They have an opportunity to score 2 consecutive touchdowns if they can get in these last 28 seconds.
Graham over the middle, nearly intercepted. Stephen Rose Jr. couldn't hang on for interception number 3.
And I guarantee you Stephen Rose Jr. will be seeing that one in his sleep tonight, because not only was it in his hands, he had nothing but green grass in front of him coming to the near numbers and then straight up the field. He could have taken a 3-score game and basically put it out of reach before the half.
After the dropped interception, 2nd and 10 for Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. Empty backfield for Graham. Ball on the Malvern 25. Graham with plenty of time. Close sideline, jump ball. Williams couldn't hang on the second effort. Hayes in on the coverage.
Give Graham a lot of credit. He is not afraid to go at Cayman Hayes. Cayman Hayes was up for the challenge on that one, though, as he went stride for stride with Keyshawn Williams and batted that ball away. Fortunately for Malvern Prep, the bat did not land in Keyshawn Williams' hands as he was lying on the ground in the end zone.
In and out of his hands. And that's one where Cayman Hayes, as great a coverage he played on there, still had to hold his breath towards the tail end because Williams so good on the second effort.
Yeah, he knew he knocked it away. I think he just didn't realize he didn't knock it quite far enough away.
3rd and 10 for the Blue Devils. Graham with pressure. Incomplete. Pass intended for Thorpe, but he was rushed right up the middle.
And he got hammered by Colin Dougherty as he threw the ball, and he's very slow to get up off the turf right now, and he's going to be helped off the field by the Springside Chestnut Hill medical staff, and he's looking a little woozy right now.
Never something you want to see on the high school football scene as Graham has to go to the sideline with 10 seconds remaining in the half. It's a 4th and 10 for the Blue Devils. Ball on the Malvern 25, so they most likely will go for it here. They have Williams back to throw, and now a timeout taken.
Yeah, and it looked like they were going with Keyshawn Williams at quarterback, and they brought in Bobby Markey to take Williams' spot at wide receiver. So the dynamic Keyshawn Williams now at quarterback for Springside Chestnut Hill. However, with the timeout, let's see if he remains in there at quarterback or if they do bring A.J. Graham back in for what could be one final play of the half after the timeout.
Rich Knox and the SCH Academy coaching staff having to play a little bit of a tic-tac-toe towards the tail end of the half with their starting quarterback banged up. It's a 4th and 10 with 10 ticks of the clock remaining in the second quarter. The Blue Devils looking to score here to keep themselves in the ball game. They will have possession of the football to start the second half, but an interesting decision here as they have, looks like Williams lined up under center.
Yeah, they are still tending to A.J. Graham on the far sideline, so it will be Williams.
And now another whistle, this time a timeout taken by Malvern Prep, and why not use it if you're Coach Guerrera here? Might as well allow your defense to have some extra time to talk things over about this situation. Because even if you get the ball back with just 10 seconds remaining, you're not going to have time to run another play. So Malvern is going to take this one to the half, regardless of what happens here.
Yeah, and the chess match between Rick Knox and Dave Guerrera here, Coach Guerrera waited until he saw the offensive personnel and the formation that Springside Chestnut Hill deployed, and then he called his timeout to give his defense every opportunity to be prepared for what they're about to see.
So it'll be Williams in a shotgun set. Markey onto the field to replace him at the receiver spot. Friars come out with a 4-man front.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him just take the snap and run to the right side.
That is what he does for now. Looks to throw for a second. Runs up the middle. Has a hole. Still going. Williams spins. Stephen Rose Jr. can't bring him down. Williams taken down at the 5, but the clock runs out. And that will take us to the half. Williams almost broke free on that play, but a sigh of relief for the Friars.
Now the officials are actually motioning the Malvern Prep team back to their sideline, and it looks like they're going to put maybe a second back on the clock. I personally don't know how that could happen, as, quite frankly, Keyshawn Williams was still fighting for yardage as the clock expired. However, they are going to put 1 second back on the clock, and it will give SCH Academy one more play with a first down inside the Friars' 6-yard line.
So Williams, on 4th and 10 from the Malvern 25, was able to gain 19 yards on the ground. So wouldn't be surprised again, Mike, if they just keep it in his hands on the ground, set up something with their blockers ahead, and let him try to run it in from 6 yards out.
It looks like what they're doing when they have him in the backfield is it's actually very simple. Whichever side has the overload of the receivers, that's where your most blocking is. He's basically just taking the snap, running to the side where all of the receivers are set up to block for him, and then just picking a running lane. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see a similar play call here, or perhaps something literally right up the middle of the field, a quarterback draw, if the interior of the SCH offensive line can open a hole in the middle.
Both teams with 1 timeout remaining, but not going to see either of those called with just a tick of the clock left here in the second quarter.
Now, barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the first half.
Williams, the quarterback on the play. Aaron Rasco in the backfield at halfback.
Watch the option to the right side.
And now flags fly. It was indeed the option.
Rasco started early.
Aaron Rasco excited about the play, but it draws a penalty flag, and it looked like an option and a reverse being run as well. So a lot of trickery there, but the Friars have a chance to see it because of the penalty, and that will aid them on this first and goal from the 11.
Make some noise, Friars!
Clock has a second left in the quarter. And now a new signal caller in under center. It's the sophomore backup quarterback Malcolm Crawford. And so the Friars decide to indeed burn that timeout.
There is another timeout on the field.
Trying to adjust to the new look offense for the Blue Devils. So what was a relatively fast-moving first half has slowed down in literally the final second. We've had literally 5 timeouts called within the last 10 seconds on the game clock.
I still don't even understand how they're on the field, because to me, from our vantage point, when Keyshawn Williams got the first down at the 6-yard line and was continuing to fight forward, our line of vision allowed us to look at the play and the scoreboard at the same time. I clearly saw the clock run out. Most of the Malvern Prep Friars also saw the same thing. As they started to run off the field, the official waved them back, put a second back on the clock, and it feels like that was about 10 minutes ago, when in reality it was just a few seconons ago.
It looked like a Friar or two already had a cup of hot cocoa in their hand on their way to the locker room as the referees were calling them back.
Yeah, they were ready to go put some coats on and warm up for a second.
Back to action. First and goal from the Malvern 11. Malcolm Crawford, the sophomore, in at quarterback for the Blue Devils.
Let's see what kind of arm Crawford has here.
Williams at the top of your screen, matched up against Hayes. Crawford looking the other direction, fires incomplete. Had Thorpe open, but threw behind him, and that will take us to halftime.
As you said, he had Thorpe open, and if Thorpe makes the catch, He's going to get hit right around the goal line, but he could win that battle and get into the end zone. The throw from the sophomore backup Crawford just a tick behind him, and the Friars dodge a bullet going into the half.
An impressive opening 2 quarters of play for the Malvern Prep Friars. They take a 28-7 lead into halftime. We'll take a quick break, but coming up here on the Sports Fanbase Network, second half action between the Blue Devils and the Friars. Moments away from kickoff here in the second half of action between the Malvern Prep Friars and the Springside Chestnut Hill Academy Blue Devils. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki here for the Sports Fan Base Network. And Mike, the first half, as has been the story for many of the Malvern Prep football games this season, it was indeed the Lonnie White Jr. show.
Yeah, Lonnie White, coming off of the injury last week, virtually unstoppable on the ground here in the first half. I mean, we've seen time and time again Springside Chestnut Hill Academy defenders try to tackle him, and he's just broken tackle after tackle after tackle, and he's reached the end zone multiple times.
Malvern with a 28-7 lead as we will begin the third quarter. They scored first on a Stephen Rose Jr. touchdown run from 9 yards out early on in the first quarter, forced an interception on the ensuing Blue Devils drive. Then on the next play, Lonnie White Jr. took it 82 yards to the house. The Blue Devils responded with a long drive and a touchdown run from Keyshawn Williams with 9:02 to go in the second quarter. But after that, the Friars blanked the Blue Devils. Lonnie White Jr. scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, and it's been all Friars ever since, a 28-7 lead for them. As we head into the third quarter, the Blue Devils will have possession of the football, but the big question mark for them is the status of A.J. Graham. Their starting quarterback in his junior season was banged up on one of the final plays of the half, so his status is questionable for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, 2 interceptions in the first half by Malvern, one by Christian Bachrath, one by Cayman Hayes. But even with the 2 interceptions, A.J. Graham clearly the most effective passing option that the Blue Devils have. Trying to figure out why Malvern is kicking off from the 45-yard line.
A penalty perhaps that we missed as Reed boots this one through the uprights and good, if only it counted for a field goal from that distance.
And not sure if there was something that happened at the end of the second half, or at the end of the second quarter, or something that was assessed at the end of halftime. But yeah, Malvern kicks off from the SCH 45-yard line, and as you said, split the uprights on the kickoff.
Touchback. SCH Academy will have it from their own 20 to start the second half of action.
Very relaxed feeling here at the Pellegrini Athletic Complex right now, and
a handoff on first down. Breaking a couple tackles is Thorpe as he's unable to get back to the line of scrimmage. Crawford under center to start the half for the Blue Devils.
Sorry about that, Chrissy.
No worries.
So I was going to say, it's a very relaxed feeling here in the Pellegrini Athletic Complex right now, and it seems like most of the Malvern faithful think that with a 28-7 lead, this one is in the bag, but we've seen these Interact League games have some real crazy offense in the second half, and this one's not over by a long shot.
2nd and 13. Crawford fires, incomplete. Nearly picked off by Kellen Matthias. Pass intended for Jack Gentili.
Yeah, and it looked like that one came off the side of Crawford's hand a little bit. He had Gentili wide open. It was a great read, and when he went to make the throw, you could see it just kind of knuckleballed on him a little bit.
3rd and 13 with 11:18 to go in the third quarter. It's the opening drive of the half for Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. Crawford with 3 receivers to his right. Faces a lot of pressure. Pass incomplete. They tried to set up the screen for Rasco, but it was broken up in the backfield by Joe Castaldi.
Yeah, and I think if they complete that pass to Rasco, Rasco probably gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and that's it. Very, very well deciphered play by the Friar defense.
It's a 3-and-out to start the half for Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. Isaiah Wright back deep to return the punt.
It's Brian Hennessy, the punter.
High, short kick. Takes a hop, Wright lets it roll. Still bouncing, and it stops at the Malvern 27.5-yard marker. So a healthy punt by Hennessy.
Yeah, that turns into a 60-yard punt with the roll. And Brian Hennessy does a great job of flipping the field here. First minute of play in the third quarter.
The Friars will send their offense out onto the field for the first time in the half, led by Lonnie White Jr., who already has 3 touchdowns on the ground today. He's over the 1,000-yard running mark on the year. The junior gunslinger has been impressive all season long. His dominance continuing here today. Fake handoff, complete to Mcguire, and he is stopped after a short gain on first down.
And number 3, Ivan Thorpe over there, wrestled him out of bounds. And I think Mcguire was looking to make a move back to the inside and see if he couldn't pick up the first down. Instead, stopped for a short gain.
Clock moving, 10:37 remaining in the quarter. 2nd and 6 for the Friars. Stephen Rose Jr. taken down for a short gain, brought to the ground by Tristan Holmbeck.
Very surprised Stephen Rose didn't try to bring that one all the way to the near sideline. So it looked like he had one more man to beat around the corner, and if he had the corner, I think he would have gotten the first down.
33-yard line.
Rose Jr. scored a touchdown in the first quarter, got Malvern Prep on the board for the first time this afternoon. 3rd and 4 now for the Friars. Rose Jr. hesitates and is taken down at the line of scrimmage. It was the combination of Jackson and Rasco bringing him to the ground.
Patrick Fern.
Yeah, it looked like Patrick Ferns got in there as well, and a really nice job by the Blue Devil defense shutting down the Malvern Prep rushing attack pretty much for the first time today.
Both teams start the half with 3 and outs on offense. Swope will send it away for the Friars. Keyshawn Williams back to return. A dangerous threat. Punt nearly blocked. High kick. Williams has to call for fair catch. And an excellent job by Ronan Swope to send that one high into the air and prevent a return opportunity.
Yeah, interesting that we've seen Swope now with a couple of different approaches to his punts. One being just a straight catch and kick, and the other a bit of a rugby approach where he rolls out a little bit and gives his coverage team some time to get down the field before he kicks the ball. Equally effective both ways today.
Well, I would say with Williams back deep, though, you want to give your coverage team as much time as possible on
certainly.
any punt. 1st and 10 now for the Blue Devils. Ball on their own 33. Crawford fumbles the snap. A flag flies. Play blown dead, and it's a false start against Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. And that's a rare occasion, Mike, where a penalty before the snap actually helps the offense out because Crawford was just staring helplessly at the football on the ground.
Oh, certainly, no question about that.
29-yard line. First down.
Today's game is brought to you in part by Eric McGee. Thinking of buying or selling a home? Call your favorite realtor and Malvern Prep Dad Eric McGee at 610-310-6022. 1st and 15 for the Blue Devils. Crawford, far sideline, incomplete, tight coverage on the play, and a flag flies. Cayman Hayes can't believe it as he had Williams boxed out step for step. We'll see what the call is for.
Oh, if that's going to be pass interference, that's got to be offensive pass interference because Cayman Hayes had a better shot at that ball than Keyshawn Williams. There's no way that this should be defensive pass interference. And rather than make the correct call, they'll pick up the flag.
I agree with you. It looked like Williams pushed Hayes from behind. Now, whether or not Hayes would have made an interception on the ball, it was overthrown, so I don't know. But it did look like the shoving, if any, came from the receiver.
Without question.
So the penalty flag picked up. No pass interference against Hayes. Makes it a 2nd and 15 for the Blue Devils with 8:59 remaining in the third quarter. A 28-7 lead for the Friars on Senior Day. Handoff to Williams. Has space. Breaks a tackle. Pushed out of bounds across the 39, and he is banged up on the sideline.
Yeah, he took a shot there at the end of the play, and he's up and walking back to the huddle, but looks like he's moving very gingerly.
Solid gain for Williams on the play. Got about 7 on the run. Third down and 6 now for the Blue Devils. Crawford throws intercepted. Pass picked off over the middle. Interception was made by Nathan Dollar, the senior linebacker.
Third interception of the day for the Friars defense, and they are doing it on both sides of the ball.
Dollar coming into the game, the senior linebacker getting some playing time here on Senior Day, and he gets his name called, makes a big interception over the middle, and sets the Friars up with possession of the football on the Springside Chestnut Hill Academy 42-yard line. The Friars secondary flying to the football all afternoon long. Their third pick, and Stephen Rose Jr. had an opportunity for one towards the tail end of the second quarter. So Malvern's had their hands on a lot of passes from the Blue Devils here today. Tinson, fake handoff to him. Lonnie White Jr. up the sideline. Has the angle. One man to beat. It's Williams. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown! Lonnie White Jr. from 42 yards out. His 4th touchdown of the game. The 2nd time this season he's run for 4 scores.
And he had a bit of a wrestling match with Keyshawn Williams going up that far sideline. It looked like Williams was just about to pull him out of bounds, and Lonnie kicked it into another gear, managed to break the plane of the goal line prior to fumbling the football. Initial ruling, touchdown Friars, but there is a flag on the field.
It's a holding flag all the way back at around the 35-yard line of Springside Chestnut Hill, so it wipes the touchdown off the board. So check all of that. Lonnie White with still just 3 touchdowns on the day.
First down for Malvern.
Chris, a quick update from Episcopal Academy in a game that started at 2 p.m. and is basically for the Interact League championship game, or championship, excuse me.
As Wright bounces it out for a short gain on first.
Second quarter, Episcopal Academy leads the Haverford School 7-0. Although it does appear as if Episcopal is driving with a timeout on the field, the ball inside of the Haverford 10-yard line.
We'll keep tabs on that game throughout our coverage of Malvern and Springside Chestnut Hill Academy, as that's the de facto conference championship game. Both teams with a 3-1 record in the Interac. The winner by default would be the conference champion. 2nd and 10 for the Friars. White with the keeper and slips at the line of scrimmage. Had a hole for a moment but couldn't keep his feet. Now a penalty flag flies late, as this looks like it's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct. Colton Deary was shoved to the ground by one of the Blue Devil defenders after that play was over.
Yeah, and I think some of the frustration of being down 28-7 and having lost now 3 consecutive games for Springside Chestnut Hill is starting to wear thin on some of the defenders.
This was a promising season for the Blue Devils. They started 6-0, 5-0 in non-conference play, beat the Haverford School in a close 28-23 game to start Interact Conference play, but then had some close losses and were blown out last week against Penn Charter and have fallen out of contention for the title as Wright with the carry for a short gain. And it was a promising start as now another flag flies after the play is over. This one getting chippy here in the third quarter.
Yeah, and that one couldn't be more obvious. Will Neveroski, senior defensive lineman for Springside Chestnut Hill.
And the flag is actually called against the Friars.
Oh, that's blatantly wrong.
Referee's discussing it.
Neveroski nearly punched the Malvern Prep offensive lineman who was on the ground as he was wrestling him to get off of him.
The officials explaining the call to Coach Guerrera on the sideline.
I can't imagine what explanation Dave Guerrera is going to get from these officials that is going to satisfy him. Because if they're calling something on Malvern right now, they are just blatantly wrong.
So it's an unsportsmanlike penalty against the Friars. For now, that's the call. Still some conversation going on. And Malvern will be set back 15 yards from the spot of the foul.
Well, they're calling it after the play, so they're going to say it's from the end of the play, back 15 yards. I still honestly have no clue what this officiating squad is calling here. That is the most blatantly wrong call of the season so far.
That's quite the take, as I'll tell you what, Episcopal Academy would argue there was a call about a week ago.
In a Malvern game, you stop it right now, Chris Markowitz.
Not to stir any controversy. Second and 24, White fakes a handoff and is taken down for a decent gain, wrapped up by Nick Schrager on the play.
I'd be curious to know if this is the same officiating squad. And I'll just leave it at that.
Third and 19 for the Friars. Clock moving. 6:10 remaining in the third quarter of action here on the Sports Fanbase Network. A 3-touchdown lead for the Friars here on Senior Day. Wright in motion in the backfield. White fires over the middle, complete to Mcguire. Still going. Taken down at the 10. Somehow Lonnie White Jr. fit it into the tight window.
And Chris Lockery for SCH Academy saved a touchdown because Ryan Mcguire caught that in stride, had one man to beat, got around him, and all of a sudden Chris Lockery from out of nowhere with an ankle tackle, saving the 6.
And I know Lonnie White Jr. has a cannon. We've seen him unleash some bombs, but that's the most impressive throw he's had all year, putting it in a tight coverage. Now on 1st and 10, he throws this one incomplete near the line of scrimmage on a broken play. But back to that catch by Mcguire. That was thrown in the area of 3 defenders, and White just zipped it through all of them and hit Mcguire in perfect stride.
Yeah, we talk a lot about throwing the ball through windows. And do you have a window to hit the receiver? If not, can you wait until he gets to the next window? That one, Lonnie didn't throw it through the open window. He broke a window. I mean, he just fired a rocket to Ryan Mcguire.
Second and goal for the Friars. White looking to the sideline, calling an audible on the play. 5:30 remaining in the quarter. Clock is stopped. Movement up front, and this is going to be a false start against the Friars.
There's a flag on the play. False start against Malvern Prep.
Malvern pushed back 5 yards, makes it second and goal from the 15.
Second and goal to go from the Malvern.
And back to the storyline for the Blue Devils this season, Mike. It looked promising 6 weeks into the year. Even after their first loss at 6-1, 1-1 in the conference, this was a wide-open Interact this season, but the Blue Devils just haven't been able to put it together the last couple of weeks against some tough Interact squads.
Yeah, and they have a ton of talent. There's no question about that.
White on second down, his pass incomplete, intended for Tinson. Perhaps a miscommunication as Tinson ran to the back of the end zone and White threw it short of the goal line.
So, continuing that thought, I mean, Springside Chestnut Hill has a ton of talent, and as you said, they went undefeated in non-conference play before the Interact started, and if you go back and you read the Interact League preview articles from every major publication this year, they said that SCH had just as much of a chance to win as any other school.
Right on the option, taken down at the 9-yard line of the Blue Devils, shy of the end zone, so the Friars offense coming off the field. They'll take the field goal, up 3 scores already with 5:09 remaining in the third quarter. And on to try this kick from a short distance will be Cole Cabba. It will be a 26-yard attempt. Low snap. Kick is up. Line drive no good. Cabba unable to get it through the uprights. So the Blue Devils will take over with the ball on their own 9-yard line. 4:44 remaining in the third. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki. And Mike, it was an eventful first half of action, but it's been relatively quiet, not just in the stands, but on the football field here in the third quarter.
Yeah, the third quarter has been a defensive struggle, no question about it. I mean, Malvern Prep went into the locker room at halftime with a 28-7 lead. We are still there, and both teams' defenses have been rather stout here first half of the third quarter.
Handoff on first down goes for a short carry. Aaron Roscoe with a pickup of about 3 yards.
Tackle made by number 32, Jack Carpenter.
Jack Carpenter with the hit on the play.
Number 51, Colton Deary. Gain of 4, second down and 6 for Springside Chestnut Hill.
Second down for the Blue Devils. Crawford in shotgun. Option play. Pitches it. Rasco hit hard, breaks a tackle, fights for extra yardage, and is out of bounds near the yard to gain.
Tackle made by number 8, Nathan Dowler, and number 37.
They give Rasco the first down. That will move the chains, keep the clock moving as well, as Rasco was taken down. His knee hit inbounds, the referee says. Clock moving, 3:51 remaining in the third.
And Chris, certainly no shortage of physicality in this one today.
Especially here in the third quarter, we've had a couple penalty flags for some late hits. No shortage of effort by both these defenses. Pitch to Rasco. Hit in the backfield, and that goes for a loss.
Deary on the tackle. And number 60, Brian McFillan.
And interesting, you're starting to see Coach Guerrera moving players in and out of the game virtually every play. Again, making sure that just about everyone on the roster gets an opportunity, especially the seniors.
Second and 10. Crawford over the middle, no one home. That pass, I want to say it was intended for Cade Zostic over the middle. It was right at him.
Well, it was kind of splitting the gap between Zostic and Liam Sullivan, who just checked into the game, and really no Springside Chestnut Hill receiver within 5 yards of that.
Make some noise, Malvern.
Third down and 10 now for the Blue Devils. A senior-heavy defensive unit on the field for the Friars here on Senior Day. Williams in the backfield. It's an option to him. Has room to run. Turns upfield. Williams, spin move, still going, and picks up 11 yards and the first down.
Tackle made by number 42, Cade Zostek.
Yeah, he got the first down by a couple of yards, but the clock continues to run, and 2:35 remaining here in the third quarter. Springside Chestnut Hill now making some wholesale substitutions. You have to figure if they want a shot at this game, they do have to get into the end zone before the end of the quarter. Still 55 yards to go.
A.J. Graham, the starting quarterback for the Blue Devils, still out as he was banged up towards the tail end of the first half. Trick play, handoff to Williams on some misdirection, but he's stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they tried to run an inside reverse, and as is usually the case with an inside reverse, it's either going to be stopped for no yardage or there's going to be a hole wide enough that you could drive a truck through. There's very little middle ground on that one, and on that one, stopped for no yardage.
Well, I don't think there was a hole that my mom could have fit her Fiat through on that one. 2nd and 9. Pitch. Rasco has a hole. Still going. Rasco down the sideline. Flag down on the play as Rasco walks in. Penalty marker back in the backfield. This might be coming back.
Rasco with a 54-yard carry, but there is a flag on the play.
Yeah, there was absolutely holding on the outside.
Personal foul against Springside Chestnut Hill.
And it's a
interesting. Personal foul. So the personal foul, the flag was thrown during the play. So they calling the personal foul a chop block or a block in the back or a shot to the head. I'm not sure, but they are saying it is a personal foul. Take the 6 off the board and push the Blue Devils back 15.
It was a 54-yard run by Rasco to the end zone. It's wiped off, and now a loss of 15 on the penalty.
And it's actually 15 from the spot of the foul. So it is 2nd and 26. Let's see if they trust Malcolm Crawford to go to the air here.
Crawford with 5 receivers. He shoots far sideline, and that pass incomplete. A flag flies. I think it's going to be interference against the offense. Thorpe with a lot of hands against the defensive back on the sideline, but going to depend on what the referee says. And it's actually against the defense, and I don't know if I agree with that one.
And that just basically gives back the 15 yards that Springside Chestnut Hill just lost on the personal foul.
Pass interference against Malvern.
And brings on a 2nd down and 11 instead of 26.
44-yard line.
Well, it was a floating duck that landed incomplete. The pass interference call bails out Crawford and their offense. Makes it 2nd and 11. Williams going to sling it off the reverse, but his pass nowhere near his intended receiver downfield. No time to get it to Markey over the middle.
No, and he took a huge shot from Jasir Cook just as he was releasing the ball, and Keyshawn Williams has not moved from the turf since.
Keyshawn Williams down on the turf with 1 minute and 9 seconds remaining. Malvern ahead 28-7 here in the third quarter. We'll take a quick audio break as the training staff tends to Williams. scary moment a few ticks of the clock ago here at Quigley Field as Keyshawn Williams banged up on a play, had some assistance from the training staff, made it to the sideline under his own power. But that may be the last we've seen of the senior wide receiver who's the all-time leader in receiving yards here in the Interac. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki. Fumble on 3rd and 11 by Crawford under center. He falls on it, and that will bring up 4th down and long. Mike, a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. It's halftime in the de facto championship game for the Interac, and Episcopal Academy holding on to a 21-6 lead over the Fords.
Yeah, Marcus McDaniel with a couple of touchdown runs in that game for Episcopal, and what was a very tight 7-0 game early on. Episcopal put the foot on the gas in the second quarter and really hasn't let up.
Pass on 4th down, incomplete, intended for Jackson. Hayes with tight coverage on the play for the Friars. So it's a turnover on downs for Springside Chestnut Hill Academy. Going for on 4th and 14 with both their starting quarterback and receiver out due to injury, likely for the rest of this game. I can't fault them there. Just sensing that their chances of scoring are going to be limited as the Malvern Prep Friars offense has been tough to stop, keeping it on the ground. And with time being an enemy now, with just 32 seconds remaining in the third, can't fault them for going for it there.
No, and actually a very smart play by Cayman Hayes for the Friars. Had a shot at a potential pick six, but probably would have had to have run through the receiver to make the interception. He knew the catch wasn't going to be made, so rather than pick up a potential pass interference penalty, he just kind of ran by that one and let the ball fall incomplete and gave the ball to the Friars on downs.
And then he carries it up for an 8-yard gain on 1st and 10. Clock moving towards the tail end of the third quarter, and it looks like the Friars will let it tick 2-0. Final second off the clock. That's the end of the third. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, 4th quarter action. Malvern Prep Friars on Senior Day playing host to Springside Chestnut Hill Academy here on the Sports Fanbase Network. Fourth quarter action here at Quigley Field. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki. It's a handoff to Tinson on a sweep, and Tinson is met for a loss of 1 on the play, taken down by Nick Schrager. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki for the Sports Fanbase Network, and it's been all Malvern this afternoon. The Friars not in contention for the Interac title for the first time since 2015, and Mike, I think they've taken that personally, and unfortunately for the Blue Devils, they've been the victims of that frustration.
Yeah, SCH Academy won the toss this afternoon, and that was pretty much the last time they were on top of anything today.
11-17 remaining in the game. Wright with a handoff up the middle, still going, and he picks up the first down. Isaiah Wright with a solid season for the Friars. The sophomore running back, halfway through the year, started taking the carries, became the starter in the backfield, and he's got a promising career ahead of him with two more years of eligibility as a Friar.
Yeah, and he is a shifty runner with great speed, and the future looks bright with him.
Stephen Rose Jr. now met in the backfield for a loss, brought down by Will Neverosky.
Now, we saw Neveroski involved in some of the extracurriculars in the third quarter, and good to see that he's regained his composure and is in there making some plays for SCH. And, of course, no sooner do I sing his praises, he is replaced by TJ Spirito.
2nd and 10 for the Friars. Handoff. Cayman Hayes thrown to the ground by Rasco after a short carry.
Tackle made by number 4, Aaron Rasco.
So Coach Guerrera and the offensive staff here at Malvern Prep, you see now that we're into the fourth quarter, really mixing up the ball carriers. We've seen just in this series Isaiah Wright, Stephen Rose Jr., and Cayman Hayes carry the ball.
3rd and 8 for the Friars, 9:30 remaining in the game. Flags fly on the motion. Tommy Brecker came in motion from the top of your screen, but that's what signaled the penalty. Some linemen up front for the Friars may have jumped, so the timing just off on that end-around play.
Yeah, it looked like they were either setting up a jet sweep to Brecker or a reverse of some kind. And as you so astutely mentioned, motion up front or movement up front by the Malvern offensive line shut that down before it had a chance to get started.
3rd and 13 now for the Friars. Lonnie White Jr. with an empty backfield. Hayes in motion. Takes the handoff. It's a fake. White up the middle. Taken down for a short gain. What a convincing fake there by Lonnie White Jr. But the defense up the middle wasn't fooled. He was met by a sea of white jerseys and taken down for a 4-yard carry.
And it looks like we're going to have a fairly long field goal attempt here. This should be a
backfield and then hit low. A nice tackle put on him by Ivan Thorpe. And I think we got to give it out. That's tonight's All-American Sporting Goods hard hit of the game. An excellent tackle by Thorpe in the backfield.
Certainly, without question, a bone-jarring hit there. And it looked like Isaiah Wright had picked up a block from Andrew Connolly and was going to get the corner, and not so fast. Ivan Thorpe with the All-American hard hit of the game.
That's your All-American Sporting Goods hard hit of the game. For all your sports equipment and apparel, shop at All-American Sporting Goods, located on the corner of Cotman and Tabor this season. Swope has it nearly blocked. It bounces at the 40, takes a couple hops, and will be downed at the Blue Devils 31. Swope a junior, so we'll see him again next year. And I got to say, he's been one of my favorite names to call this season. Rodan Swope, an impactful player for when a lot of these Friars drives have gone 3 and out this year. He's been Johnny on the spot with some of his deliveries downfield with his punts.
Let's give a big round of applause for the seniors.
4:20 remaining in the game. The Blue Devils take over with the ball on their own 31-yard line. Chris Markowitz alongside Mike Mataraki. And Mike, as we have a chance to reflect on this game, the player of the game, the Stoll Agency player of the game, it's got to be Lonnie White with another 3-touchdown performance on the ground.
3 touchdowns on the ground and nearly a 4th through the air and nearly a 5th on the ground. So, yeah, without question, I think it's a pretty unanimous decision from our booth. It's Lonnie White Jr.
Lonnie White Jr. is tonight's Stoll Agency player of the game. Stoll Bonds and Insurance specializes in the construction business industry. For all your bonding and construction insurance needs, please go to www.stollagency.com. Aaron Rasco picked up 11 yards on that play for the Blue Devils. Gives them a 1st and 10 on their own 41. Clock moving, 3:47 to go. Crawford with the pitch. Rasco up the sideline with a spin move, but a whistle blown. Referee saying he's out of bounds.
Yeah, they're going to spot him at their own 48, which is going to leave him about 3 yards shy. As we have a great vantage point on that one. We're looking directly across the field at the 48, 49-yard line there.
48-yard line.
Clock is stopped with 3:37 remaining. Crawford in shotgun. He hands it off, and fighting for every bit of yardage he can manage is C.J. Lynch, the senior third-string halfback.
Yeah, and Rick Knox for the Springside Chestnut Hill Academy now getting all of his seniors into the game as well.
Joe Castaldi.
It's a first down for the Blue Devils. Keeps the clock moving. 3:14 to go. Malvern with a 28-7 lead. Well on its way to a victory here this afternoon on Senior Day. Rasko breaks a couple tackles, still going, and brought to the ground by Zostik, who lowered the shoulder and got under the hood. Rasko banged up on the play.
Boy, if you're the Springside Chestnut Hill medical staff right now, you've had A.J. Graham and Keyshawn Williams leave the game already, and now Aaron Rasko is down as well. And this last 3 minutes, quite frankly, just can't move fast enough for them right now, as they are taking a real physical game, and it's starting to wear on the lower numbered squad there for SCH Academy.
Rasko limping to the sideline under his own power, but like you were alluding to, Mike, just an afternoon you want to forget about if you're the Blue Devils. Starting quarterback out due to injury, star wide receiver out due to injury, and now your first-string halfback out due to injury. It's been a nightmare afternoon here at Quigley Field for the men dressed in white and navy blue.
Yeah, and I don't want to say Springside Chestnut Hill is undermanned, but most of their starters do play both ways, and a physical game such as this one is going to take a toll, and certainly we see that it has.
Lynch with no gain on first down. Clock starts to move again. 2:39 to go in what is basically a formality now. With the win on the day, the Malvern Prep Friars will improve to 4-6 on the season. Springside Chestnut Hill Academy will fall to 6-4. Fake handoff. Crawford slings it to the sideline, and being stood up is Thors, holding on to a 3-score lead here at home. 3rd and 2 for the Blue Devils. It's a pitch. Rasko back in the game.
Rasko on the carry.
And he's taken down near the yard to gain. Going to depend on the spot, and they give it to him.
Yeah, it looks like he got the first down and then some, a couple of yards. We're now inside a minute and a half to go, and at this point, SCH Academy really just trying to put another score on the board before time runs out.
71 seconds remaining in the ball game. Crawford chucks it. End zone incomplete. Great coverage on the play by Liam Sullivan.
Number 3.
Yeah, he was looking for Ivan Thorpe out there, and Liam Sullivan did a great job in coverage and had just as much of a shot at that as the receiver.
Sullivan, the senior defensive back, getting some playing time here on Senior Day. 1 minute and 5 remaining in the ball game. And if you look up and down the Malvern Prep sideline, a lot of hugs being given out by these players to one another as they're starting to sense this is the final time that this unit will be on the field together.
Yeah, and interestingly, I'll get into it after this play.
2nd and 10, pass to the end zone, incomplete. Sullivan again with great coverage.
Incomplete.
I would almost like to see Springside Chestnut Hill get into the end zone here, if for no other reason than it would force them to kick off to Malvern one more time. And just a couple of minutes ago, we watched number 34, Jack Kelly, a very seldomly used senior quarterback for the Friars, taking snaps on the sideline, preparing to take what could be the final snap on Quigley Field this year.
Rasco with a solid carry, taken down near the yard to gain. It will depend on the spot. Keeps the clock moving for now. They mark him short by about a half yard.
4th down.
4th and inches. QB sneak. Crawford met at the line. I don't think he got anywhere.
I don't think he got it. I think that's a great stand by the Friars defense. Let's see where they spot him.
Clock is stopped with 30 seconds remaining. And he is short. The Friars hold on defense, force a stop, and will send their offensive unit out onto the football field one final time. And there is Kelly, the senior quarterback, seconds remaining in a 3-score lead. Wouldn't be surprised if he just takes a knee and sends us home in this final ball game of his career.
Yeah, and a great moment here for the Friars and for Jack Kelly. An integral part of this offense, one of the signal callers from the sideline, getting a shot to actually take snaps under center here.
Kelly takes the ceremonial knee and gets a big hug from his lineman, William Redden. And that's going to do it for us here in 2019. Final score of this one, Malvern 28, Springside Chestnut Hill Academy 7. Of Interact titles comes to an end, but Mike Mataraki, a lot of promise for the junior class of the Malvern Prep Friars.
Absolutely, and they're going to go out with a win, and there's no better way to start the rebuilding process for the Friars than on the heels of a W.
Malvern Prep finishes the 2019 campaign with a 4-6 record, a 3-2 mark in the Interact, but as we mentioned, that will go to the winner of Episcopal Academy and Haverford School, which you can also catch here on the Sports Fanbase Network. If you're looking for some more Saturday high school football, switch over. We got coverage of that game, but that's going to do it for us here at Malvern. Once again, for our crew, for our producer Carl Mays, for our cameraman Joe Sindani, and for my partner Mike Mataraki, I'm Chris Markowitz saying so long and good afternoon here from the campus of Malvern Prep.